You just got the call. Mom passed away. Or dad. Or your favorite aunt who actually liked you. And for 3 days, all you can do is cry and hold your family. Then, on day 4, you realize you have to go to the bank just to close her account. You show them the death certificate, and you know what the bank teller says? "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. To access these funds, you'll need to go through the probate court. It'll take about 8 to 12 months, and about $5,000 in legal fees. Have a great day." And at that exact moment, your grief turns into rage. Not at the bank, not at the system, but at your mom. Because you told her to put you on the account. You told her to get a trust. But she said, and I quote, "I don't have enough stuff for all that." And now, because she thought she didn't have enough stuff, she just cost you a year of your life and $5 grand. That's literally what's waiting for millions of you. That's literally what happened to me. My name is Thomas, and I'm suggesting using a living trust to avoid the public probate process. If you're someone who wants to leave your kids something other than a mountain of legal paperwork and a bill, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, we all think probate is for the rich. We think it's some fancy legal process that happens when someone leaves a mansion and a yacht. Here's the thing. Probate doesn't care if you're rich. Probate cares if you're dead. It's the default setting. If you own a house, a car, a bank account, or even a fancy guitar, and you die, poof, that asset is frozen. It's in limbo. It doesn't belong to anyone anymore. And the court has to step in to say, okay, who gets this? Most people think a will avoids this. This is the biggest, most dangerous myth in personal finance. Here's what most people don't realize. A will is actually just a set of instructions for probate. Think of your estate like a locked safe. A will is just a letter inside the safe that says, "Open me." But if you don't have the key, the court has to hire a locksmith, the executor. Watch them try to crack it, probate, and then pay the locksmith before you can read the letter. The will doesn't unlock the door. It just tells the court what you wanted them to do once they finally break in. Why do we do this? Why do we leave this mess? Psychologically, it's called temporal discounting. We discount the value of things that happen in the future. Planning for death feels like planning to flee to the moon. It feels so far away that our brains literally refuse to process the work required. But here's the math that breaks that psychology. Let's look at the probate tax. Let's say you have a modest house. Maybe it's worth $400,000. You've got a 401k that accidentally went to the estate because you forgot to name a beneficiary, let's say $100,000, and a car, $20,000. Total estate, $520,000. Depending on the state, probate attorney fees are often calculated as a percentage. In California, for example, the statutory fees are 4% on the first $100,000, 3% on the next $100,000, 2% on the next $800,000. On a $520,000 estate, you're looking at roughly $13,000 in attorney fees alone, plus executor fees, plus court costs, plus appraisal fees. That's $13,000 to do paperwork that you could have avoided by spending one afternoon and maybe $500 setting up a trust. This is where it gets really interesting. If you had just put that house in a trust, the attorney fees drop to zero. That $13,000 stays with your kids. That's a 2,500% return on the cost of the trust paperwork. You cannot get that return in the stock market. You can only get it by outsmarting the court system. I learned this the hard way. It wasn't my parent. It was my neighbor, Mr. Gable. Nice guy, retired mechanic. He had a paid-off house and about 60 grand in savings. He knew I was the finance kid. He'd wave at me. One day he says, "Thomas, I gotta do a will. My daughter keeps nagging me." I said, "Mr. Gable, you should look into a trust." He laughed. "Nah, I'm not a Rockefeller. I just need a simple will." He paid $200 for an online will. Felt great. Checked the box. He passed away 6 months later. His daughter came over. We were both crying. I helped her gather the papers. We found the will. She thought, okay, we're good. Then she went to the bank. Frozen. The house? Frozen. Why? Because the house was in his name. The bank account was in his name. The will was just a piece of paper asking the judge to let her have it. She spent the next 14 months in probate. She had to hire a lawyer. She paid $8,000 in fees. She almost lost the house because she couldn't pay the property taxes. The money was stuck in the frozen account. All because Mr. Gable thought he was too poor to need a trust. So how do you stop this? You need 3 things. It's not complicated. Number 1, the trust, the bucket. You create a legal document called a revocable living trust. Think of it like a big bucket. You are the bucket maker. You write the rules for the bucket. Number 2, the funding, putting stuff in the bucket. Here's the part 90% of people mess up. You can have the best trust document money can buy, but if your house deed still says John Smith, the bucket is empty. You have to change the deed. You have to retitle your bank accounts into the name of the trust. Thomas, that sounds like a pain. Look, it's a few trips to the bank and a trip to the county recorder. It's a Saturday morning, that's it. But if you don't do this, the trust is just an expensive notebook. Number 3, the pour-over will. This is the safety net. It catches anything you forgot to put in the bucket. If you buy a new lawnmower the week before you die and it's not in the trust, the pour-over will says, hey, give this to the trust. It still goes through probate, but it's usually for small stuff. Now you might be thinking, Thomas, this sounds like a lot of money. I can't afford a lawyer. I get it. And I hate that the legal system makes us pay to protect our own families. But here's the math again. A decent trust from an attorney might cost you $1,500 to $2,500 for a couple. That feels expensive, but let's go back to the math. If you don't spend that $2,000 and you have a $300,000 estate, probate might cost $10,000. So you can either, option A, pay $2,000 now, option B, make your kids pay $10,000 later. Which one are you choosing? Paying $2,000 to save your kids $8,000 is a no-brainer, but we don't see it that way because we're paying it now for a benefit they get later. It's the temporal discounting again. We have to fight it. Here's the part that really gets me. Probate is public. Anyone can go down to the courthouse, pull the file on your dead relative, and see exactly what you inherited. They see the value of the house, they see the jewelry list, it becomes public record. A trust is private. It's a contract. It doesn't go through the court. No one knows what you left or who you left it to except the people involved. So if you value privacy, if you don't want every debt collector and long-lost cousin knowing your business, you need a trust. Okay, so you're convinced you don't want to be Mr. Gable. What do you do this week? Step 1, list everything. Grab a notebook, write down every asset you own. House, car, bank accounts, investment accounts, insurance policies, digital stuff like crypto, YouTube ad revenue, etc. Step 2, check your beneficiaries. For your 401ks, IRAs, and life insurance, you don't need a trust for these. They pass by beneficiary designation. Check them today. Make sure they are up to date. If your ex-wife is still on there, fix it. Step 3, find a local estate planning attorney. Do not use a generic online form for a trust if you own a house. Real estate laws are state-specific. You need someone licensed in your state. Go to a place like lawyers.com or just Google your city estate planning attorney. Most offer free consultations. Go talk to them. Just the consultation will light a fire under you. Step 4, fund the trust. Once you sign the papers, you are not done. You must take the deed to the recorder's office. You must take the trust paperwork to the bank. Do not let the paperwork sit in a drawer. That is the, I'll do it later trap. Do it the next day. Look, I know this isn't sexy. Talking about death and lawyers isn't going to get 1 million likes on Instagram. But this is the stuff that defines you as a parent, as a child, as a human being. Your legacy isn't just the money you leave, it's the burden you leave or don't leave. You have the power right now, today, to make the worst day of your child's life just a tiny bit easier. You can remove the financial knife fight from the grieving process. Don't make them wait in line at the probate court. Don't make them pay a lawyer to do what you could have done for free. My name is Thomas. Stop procrastinating. Go check those beneficiary forms. Go call that lawyer. And as always, stop making the same dumb mistakes I made. If this video helped you realize you need to get your stuff together, smash that like button. Subscribe if you want to stop being bad at money. I'll see you in the next one.